A YouTube star with 4.4 million subscribers just showed up to Daytona, and NASCAR will never be the same. Most NASCAR drivers spend 10 years climbing the ladder. Cletus McFarland is doing it in 2, and a real NASCAR team just made a decision about him that changes everything. This is the full story. His real name is Garrett Mitchell. He's 30 years old, from Bradenton, Florida, and he built one of the most loyal automotive audiences on the internet from scratch, through muscle cars, drag races, burnout competitions, and grassroots events that reminded people why they fell in love with engines in the first place. He owns the Freedom Factory, a short track in Florida where fans show up not just to watch racing, but to feel it. His YouTube channel has 4.4 million subscribers. His Facebook has 2.6 million followers. His TikTok has nearly 600. To put that in perspective, NASCAR's own YouTube channel has just 1.5 million subscribers. The student is outpacing the sport itself. And then there was the New England 900. He dropped Crown Victoria cars on the track, some with nitrous, some with train horns, and turned short track racing into something people genuinely couldn't stop talking about. Thousands of fans showed up. The noise was real. The energy was real. It wasn't about lap times or championship points. It was about personality and chaos and the kind of moment that gets burned into your memory. He didn't come to NASCAR. NASCAR came to him. But make no mistake, this is not a content creator playing dress-up as a race car driver. In 2025, McFarland made 4 ARCA Menard Series starts: Daytona, Talladega, Charlotte, and Bristol. These are not easy tracks. These are big, fast, unforgiving venues where real mistakes cost real consequences. His best finish was P9 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He also cracked the top 10 at Talladega. And here's the part that tells you everything about who this guy is. He did it with a broken valve spring. He explained it himself on the NASCAR on Fox broadcast. "Brother, I thought we were done. Ilmore, the engine guys, just came over here and pulled the valve cover off. Number 6 valve spring is broken in half. About 5 laps in, she just turned into a dog. And this hashtag 30 always hauls tail, so I'm like, what the hell is going on? Got my foot stabbed in there." I'm telling you, they're getting on radio like "keep your momentum," and I'm like, brother, this sucker is wide open. You know what I'm saying? So we fell out of the draft, and dude, it felt like I was riding a horse out there. You know what I mean? Everyone is blowing by me. And thankfully, a caution came out. We stayed on the lead lap. I got out there, read the air with the dog we had, and stayed in there. That's not a YouTuber having fun. That's a driver solving a problem at speed with composure. And the numbers back the story up. His ARCA Daytona debut drew 1.16 million viewers on Fox, the most for the series since 2013, and more than the Truck Series pulled that same weekend. His Daytona race recap video crossed 1.6 million views within 4 days. NASCAR gave him in-car camera access and aired it on their YouTube channel. At Talladega, over 100,000 concurrent viewers watched his in-car feed live. NASCAR was not just tolerating his presence, they were actively building around it. And McFarland himself, he stayed grounded through all of it. He told Kevin Harvick on his podcast, "Our original goal was the Daytona 500 2027, and I'm not saying that's off the board, but now that I know just a smidge about NASCAR, I still think that might be too early. 'Cause them guys are on a whole other level." That kind of self-awareness is rare. It's also exactly why people trust him. Now here's where the story shifts, and this is the part that hits differently. Behind McFarland's NASCAR journey was a man named Greg Biffle, a NASCAR legend, a winner, a mentor who mapped out the entire development plan with McFarland from day one. The path they drew together was clear: ARCA Trucks, Xfinity, Cup Daytona 500. Biffle didn't just advise him, he believed in him. And McFarland leaned on him at every step. On December 18, 2025, Greg Biffle, his wife, and their 2 children died in a plane crash. The entire motorsports world stopped. McFarland spoke at Biffle's gathering of remembrance. His motto in the wake of that loss became 3 words: "Be like Biff." After the crash, McFarland admitted he didn't want to race anymore. He didn't want to step foot in a NASCAR garage. But after time passed, he came back with a clarity that put everything into perspective. In his own words, When Biff and I originally talked about racing NASCAR, I told him I wanted to race the Daytona 500. He kind of politely told me that's not going to happen without doing some serious work. So we started a plan of getting to the Daytona 500. I'm carrying our mission of getting to the Daytona 500. That's what I started with all this stuff, so I got to finish it. This is no longer just a YouTube chapter. This is a tribute. Every lap McFarland runs from here carries Biffle's name with it. Came February 13, 2026. Nice Motorsports officially announced that Cleetus McFarland would attempt his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series debut at Daytona International Speedway in the Fresh from Florida 250. A 100-lap, 250-mile season opener airing at 7:30 p.m. ET on FS1. He would pilot the number 4 Chevrolet Silverado, sponsored by Black Rifle Coffee Company. But there were no free passes here. With 44 trucks entered for just 36 spots, McFarland had to qualify on speed. Before that, on February 10th at Rockingham Speedway, he was required to pass a NASCAR approval test to prove he was ready to compete at this level. He passed. On February 10th, NASCAR officially cleared McFarland to compete at Daytona. His teammates that night included Travis Pastrana in the number 42, an X Games legend and motorsports icon, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in the number 45, the 2023 Daytona 500 champion, making his Truck Series debut. That is an extraordinary lineup for a single race at a single team. McFarland was also confirmed for a return to Talladega with Nice Motorsports, and his first official NASCAR diecast was released alongside the announcement. Now zoom out, because McFarland's story doesn't exist in isolation. It runs parallel to something that hadn't happened in NASCAR in over 20 years. At Michigan International Speedway, Ram Trucks, under the Stellantis umbrella, officially announced their return to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series for 2026. The last time NASCAR welcomed a new manufacturer was when Toyota entered the Truck Series in 2004. NASCAR's Executive Vice President John Probst said at the announcement, "We are excited to welcome Ram back to the Truck Series, starting in 2026. I know this is something that we've been talking about for a long time, and it's something we don't get to do very often. I think the last time we did this was over 20 years ago when Toyota entered our sport. Ram partnered with Calig Racing for a 5-truck operation. 3 full-time drivers were confirmed. Brendan Queen in the number 12 with Cummins sponsorship, Daniel Dye in the number 10, and Justin Haley, who won at Daytona in 2019, in the number 16. The number 25 was a rotating free agent seat, with 3-time Cup Series champion Tony Stewart confirmed to drive it at Daytona, his first NASCAR start since 2016. The number 14 went to the winner of Dana White's Fox reality show Ram Race for the seat, which was won by Minnie Tier. Listed McFarland as a driver and brand ambassador for the Ram program, citing a document and 4 sources. Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis addressed the rumors on Kevin Harvick's Happy Hour podcast, initially distancing the brand. "I don't know where that came from. We actually had absolutely nothing to do with it. I don't know him. I talked to him one time casually." But then, in the same breath, Kuniskis said this: "It's serious business. You've got to be very serious about how you do it." And I think he balances that well. He's a legit, serious driver. He just also happens to be a completely entertaining person that's coming from outside the sport. That's not a dismissal. That's a compliment from a CEO. And this matters because NASCAR has a real problem. Ratings have been declining for 2 decades. The sport's biggest current stars, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, are largely unknown outside of racing circles. The 2025 merchandise top 10 still included Dale Earnhardt Jr., Justin Allgaier, and Dale Earnhardt Sr., a man who has been gone since 2001. Legacy names are propping up a sport that needs living, breathing stars capable of pulling new audiences. Cleetus McFarland has more YouTube subscribers than NASCAR itself. He brings millions of younger fans, people who watch his car builds every week, people who have never sat in a grandstand, directly into the sport's orbit. On Stacking Pennies, McFarland laid out his philosophy clearly. We see it time and time again, where some motorsports person with some pull, whatever they had, previous wins or power and fame or whatever, they get a ride in Cup, and they just get humiliated because you can't hang with these guys. He is not doing that. He is building properly, one level at a time. The criticism still exists. An anonymous team member was quoted saying, "It's like skipping the line at Daytona. We bust our tails out here, and now we've got to compete with memes and train horns." That frustration is understandable. Traditional drivers spend careers earning their seats. But the counter to that argument is simple. NASCAR has always been both a sport and a show. Dale Earnhardt didn't just race. He built a legend. Rusty Wallace didn't just win. He made fans feel something. The best moments in NASCAR history weren't always photo finishes. They were fights, feuds, and unforgettable quotes. McFarland is bringing that electricity back. Where does this end? McFarland's path remains ARCA Trucks Xfinity Cup. The 2027 Daytona 500, the goal he set with Greg Biffle, is still on the board. Stellantis is reportedly planning a Dodge Cup Series entry by 2027-2028, which aligns almost perfectly with McFarland's projected timeline. If Ram builds a credible Truck Series program in 2026 and Dodge enters Cup a year or two later, McFarland could be their driver at the highest level of the sport, racing the Daytona 500 in a Dodge, honoring the man who first believed he could get there. Two storylines, Cleetus McFarland's climb and Ram Dodge's return, are running on parallel tracks toward the same finish line. And right in the middle of it all is a 30-year-old from Florida who makes car videos on the internet, grieves a mentor he lost too soon, and refuses to stop until he crosses the starting grid at Daytona one final time. For Biff, love him or hate him, Cleetus McFarland made NASCAR unpredictable again. And that might be exactly what the sport needed most. If this story hit different for you, here's what to do right now. Smash that like button. If you think Cleetus McFarland deserves every lap he's earned, subscribe and hit the notification bell. This Cleetus Ram Dodge storyline is building towards something massive, and you don't want to miss when it breaks. Drop a comment below. Is Cleetus the future face of NASCAR, or does he still have too much to prove? Team Cleetus or not? Let's debate it. Share this video with any NASCAR fan who hasn't heard this story yet, because they need to.